Um, Hello, you all. My name is Gabriel. I'm a international medical graduate from Venezuela, and this year, 2022, I'm applying for the USMLE match process. There was a lot of different tools online, but some of the times those tools were a little bit confusing. So for me and my friends was always like a little bit more difficult to explain to others uh, what the USA medical residency roadmap was. So with the help of a friend of mine known Kurt Albert, we developed a specific roadmap that basically has allows to show others how is the pathway and basically what are the processes that are involved in all these processes known as the USMLE. So the explanation starts when you first decide that you want to come to the States and become an specialist. Basically, you want to pursue an internal medicine residency position, or you want to go to do some other residency position. And the process starts with the step one. Basically, this is a science knowledge test that it's going to allow you to measure your knowledge, and the results of these tests are going to be two options: pass or fail. There is no scores regarding these tests, but as you can see here on the first step of our flow diagram, it entails different useful resources that you can study and use to take that test. It is important to notice that taking the first test that is known as the step one, it is important to be ready for it. So remember that when you sign up for this test, you are deciding when are you going to be taken. So the important thing is to be on a passing score. Usually the time to be ready for these tests will depend upon your base knowledge, but it can go from 4 months to 1 year or even longer, but it all depends on you, and the advice is to take the test whenever you're ready. There are a lot of useful resources, but for the purpose of this explanation, I'm just going to tell you that you take that exam, you then move to the step 2. When you're doing the step 2, there are other several resources. You will find out that URL is like the gold standard for all of these preparation materials, and you follow the same pattern that you do on step 1. Basically, you prepare for the test, you take the simulation test, and when you're ready, when you know that you're and the score that you want to achieve, then you go and set an appointment for the test, and you will have also 2 results, but in this case, these tests will have a score, and it is important to have the score of the residency that you are applying for. You will see those kind of cutoff for every single of those residency positions online. But for the purpose of this explanation, I'm just going to tell you that after you take the step 2 CK, then you move to another test. Now, having the 2 tests, you're closer to get the ECFMG certificate. But before that, if you're an international medical doctor from abroad, you're going to have to go on something called the pathways. In that case, it's basically taking an exam. It's called the OET. It's a Australian exam that it will measure your English proficiency, and it will allow you to have the requirements to have the pathway application. In this case, for the purpose of this flow diagram, it will be for the pathway 1. So after that, what you do after taking the step 1, the step 2, and having this OET exam, you pay for the pathway application, which is going to be like a 925 fee. After that, you have to find another thing that is called letter of good standing. It'll depend on your countries, but once you have all that information, that usually will take a couple of days to have, you will have your ECFMG certificate to be sent to your country, or basically if you're in the States, it will be delivered by a FedEx provider to the address that you provide when you sign up. Once you have accomplished all these phases of taking the test, you have successfully passed what is called the testing phase. There are other tests within this test, the testing phase, but for the purpose of getting the ECFNG certificate that allow you to be part of the application process, you're pretty much complete. Now you have to move to the part of having the internships, and that's called the matching phase for the purpose of the flow diagram. If you don't have a valid B1-2 visa, or if you are not able to get into the States, that's the moment where you should get your visa in order to be able to be present in the States. Of course, you can do these internships online. Remember that once you're going to be applying for the match, you will have to have at least 3 letters of recommendation. These letters of recommendations can go from 3 to 4. Ideally, we want to have 3, but if you can have a little bit more than that, it's usually great, because that will have you will have some kind of safety net in case that one of the letters don't come at the right time. Once you're in the States and you start to develop the possibilities of having your internship, there are different ways to get this internship. But for the purpose of this flow diagram, I'm just going to tell you that the ideal case is 3. So you need to prepare your time, your resources in order to have this time ready before the application process. Once that every single of these letters is ready, every internship that you have done in the States, whatever you want to go, you're going to upload those letters to the ERA system. Those letters are going to be uploaded by doctors who are working in the States, and they're going to basically describe how is your practice when you're helping them. And basically, it is massively important in your application process. Once you have the EasyFMG certificate, once you have all the letters of recommendations that you have done, all the internships, there are a lot of things that you can do to improve the quality of your CV. But basically, with those 4 things, you will be more than ready to enter into the ERA system, which is going to be the moment for the residency program selection. So once you read this part, then we move to the residency program selection. You will see tons of information regarding this process, but the main ideas of this is to have your, I will say, your interview time from September of the year that you are applying to January of the year that you are applying. After that, what you're going to have is based upon how many interviews you have. And for example, if you have 5 or 6, then you're going to do your ranking on the order list. And moving from that, you're going to realize if you have matched or you have not matched. Based upon that, if you match, then you just wait until the Friday of that week, of the match week. And if not, you're going to go to the SOAP. Basically, it's a complementary system who is going to allow you to have another chance to be matched. If you are not successful on that one, then you have to reapply next year, or there are other options. But for the purpose of the video, again, it's just to show you how it works. Then you move to the residency program administration process. Basically, they are gonna do the pre-employment onboarding process, the visa sponsorship, and if you require any other things, they will let you know, and that it's gonna happen right after the match week. Once you have that process done, if you are international medical graduate who requires a visa, then you're gonna find out a little bit about the information of these 2 possibilities, the J1 visa and the H1 visa. And there are different circumstances where you can have one of the other. If you're applying to stay in the States in the long term, the H1 is usually the ideal. The J1, some cases it will require for you to return to your country for 2 years, or in other cases you can work in an underserved area in the States. So there you go, you got the 2 options. If you want the H1, normally H1B, you will need to take a specific test, which is the step 3. Ideally, if you're an international medical graduate, you want to have this exam before your residency, before the start of your residency. And remember that this step 3, usually if you're in internal medicine, you ideally take it. Sometimes, like if you're working on another residency position like orthopedics or other of the surgery programs, you can take a little bit longer to take that exam. And based upon that, once you have all that, you have to take the step 3, and based upon that, you start your residency program in July. So pretty much that's like the understanding of this pathway. The idea is that with these images, you can help others to understand how is the process and basically get into the pathway in an easy way. Here's the way that you can read this pathway, and hope you like the explanation. Thank you very much. Have a good one.